The thing about an office job is the sitting. Nobody warns you about the sitting. They tell you about the deadlines, the spreadsheets, the endless chains of reply-all emails. They might even mention the soul-crushing beige of the cubicle walls or the politics around who gets the last donut on Fridays. But the sitting is the silent killer. For the first year at my current job, let's call it a mid-level data analysis position, I barely noticed. I was so focused on learning the systems, on proving I wasn't an idiot, that my body was the last thing on my mind. I'd fall into my chair at 9 a.m., get sucked into a vortex of numbers and reports, and only resurface when my stomach started screaming for mercy around noon. I'd do what everyone else did. Scarf down a sandwich at my desk, one hand on the mouse, my eyes still glued to the screen. Maybe I'd answer one or two non-urgent emails while I chewed. It felt efficient, productive. It was the culture. You eat, you might do a little work, and then you're back to it. The entire break was maybe 15, 20 minutes. Tops. The other 40 minutes of our official, paid, 1-hour lunch break just evaporated into the ether, an unspoken sacrifice to the gods of productivity. But after about a year and a half, I started to notice things. My work pants, which used to be comfortable, started feeling snug. A single flight of stairs up to the conference room left me winded, my heart thumping a little too hard in my chest. I felt sluggish. A constant, low-grade exhaustion had settled over me like a film of dust. I wasn't overweight, not by any clinical definition. But I was softer. Slower. I felt my body betraying me in slow motion, one sedentary day at a time. I'm a person of logic. Of routines. When I see a problem, my first instinct is to formulate a plan to solve it. The problem was a lack of movement. The solution was to move. The only available time to do so was during my designated, contractually obligated 1-hour lunch break. So, I devised a new routine. It was simple. It was logical. At 12:30, on the dot, I would save my work. I'd grab my insulated lunch bag from the sad little office fridge and head down to the parking garage. I'd sit in my car, in the quiet solitude, and eat the lunch I'd packed from home. No screen. No emails. I'd listen to a podcast or just enjoy the silence. This took about 20 minutes. That left me with 40 minutes. 40 glorious, uninterrupted minutes. So I started walking. The parking garage became my personal fitness center. It wasn't glamorous. The air tasted of concrete and old exhaust fumes. But it was private, it was sheltered from the rain, and it had 5 levels of gentle inclines. I found a route. Level 3, around the south side perimeter, up the ramp to level 4, circle the north side, and back down. I started with 2 laps. Within a month, I was up to 5. I'd return to my desk at 1:30 precisely, feeling awake. My head would be clearer. The afternoon slump didn't hit me as hard. My pants started to fit again. I felt better. It was a perfect, self-contained solution. I never went over my hour. I was always back on time, ready to work. My work quality never dipped, if anything, it improved. I have my phone on me for emergencies, though one has never, ever occurred. This was my normal for nearly 2 years. A quiet, personal victory against the slow creep of office life decay. Until last Tuesday. It was a normal day. A little overcast, but mild. I'd eaten my turkey wrap and was on my 4th lap, pacing myself, when I saw a figure hurrying towards a car near the elevators. It was Mark, a guy from the sales department. We're not friends, just a hey, how's it going in the hallway kind of coworkers. He was clutching his keys and muttering to himself, clearly having forgotten something. He spotted me as I rounded a concrete pillar. He stopped dead. His head tilted, a look of profound confusion on his face, as if he'd just seen a penguin wander out of a Toyota Camry. Hey, I said with a nod, not breaking my stride. What are you doing? He asked. The question hung in the air, heavy and strange. I slowed to a stop, a bit thrown off. Oh, hey Mark. Just getting a walk in before my break's over. I gestured vaguely around the garage. He blinked. It was a slow, deliberate blink. You're walking? Yeah, I chuckled, suddenly feeling awkward. Helps clear my head. Mark's face tightened. The confusion was replaced by a look of disapproval. It was unmistakable. It was the look a librarian gives you when you start a loud phone conversation. But you already ate your lunch, right? He pressed. Yeah. I eat in my car first. So you're done, he stated. It wasn't a question. Your lunch break is over. I felt my own brow furrow now. The logic was completely failing me. No, my lunch break is an hour long. It's over at 1:30. I even glanced at my phone to confirm the time. It was 1:14. The break is for eating lunch, Mark said, emphasizing the word eating as if it were a legal term I was fundamentally misunderstanding. It's a lunch break. Not a walk break. When you're done eating, you should be back at your desk. I stared at him. I genuinely couldn't tell if he was joking. His expression was dead serious. It was a bizarre blend of accusation and paternalistic concern, like he'd caught me embezzling post-it notes. Mark, I said, keeping my voice as neutral and polite as possible. We're given an hour. The company pays us for that hour. How I use it is my business, as long as I'm back on time and my work is done. Which it is. He shook his head, a little puff of air escaping his nose. That's not how it works. That's not the point. We're a team here. It's about being available. What if there was an emergency? I have my phone, I said, holding it up. They'd call me. They never have. It's just not a good look, he muttered, shaking his head one last time before finally turning and heading to his car. He didn't say goodbye. I stood there for a full minute, my perfect routine shattered. The echo of his words, "It's not a good look," bounced off the concrete walls. A good look for who? For what? I finished my last lap, but the joy was gone. The walk now felt illicit. Like I was getting away with something. I went back to my desk at 1:28, 2 minutes early, feeling a hot flush of anxiety and indignation. I thought that would be the end of it. A weird, one-off interaction with a guy who apparently moonlighted as the lunch police. I was wrong. He had talked. The infection began to spread. The next day, as I was packing up my lunch bag, Sarah from accounting gave me a toothy, fake smile. "Off on your grand expedition?" she asked, her voice just a little too loud. A few heads nearby perked up. I just smiled weakly and walked away. On Thursday, my own manager, Dave, stopped by my desk in the morning. He's usually a pretty hands-off guy, so it was unusual. "Hey," he started, leaning against my cubicle wall. "Just checking in. Everything going okay with the workload? You're not feeling swamped or anything?" The question was innocent on the surface, but I could feel the subtext. He was fishing. He was wondering if my expeditions were a sign I couldn't handle my job. "Everything's great, Dave," I said, maybe a little too quickly. "My projects are all ahead of schedule. Actually, I was about to send you the Q3 preliminary report this afternoon." "Oh. Great. Great," he said, pushing himself off the wall. "Good to hear." But he had this look in his eye. A look of assessment. Of evaluation. The paranoia started to set in. Was I being watched? Judged? The walk in the garage was no longer my sanctuary. It was a stage. I found myself glancing over my shoulder, checking for cars pulling in or out. Every person I saw, every distant footstep, sent a jolt of anxiety through me. My peaceful, head-clearing routine had become a source of stress. I became obsessive. I started timing myself with a stopwatch. Leave desk, 12:30 and 15 seconds. Arrive at car, 12:32 and 45 seconds. Finish eating, 12:51 and 10 seconds. Begin walk. I was documenting it like a science experiment, building a case for a trial that was only happening in my head. The final straw, the thing that is making me write this today, was a phone call with my parents. I called them over the weekend, mostly just to catch up, but I ended up venting about the whole ridiculous situation. I expected sympathy. I expected them to say, "Wow, that Mark guy is a total nutcase." That is not what I got. "Well," my dad said after I finished my story. There was a long pause. "He kind of has a point, son." I was floored. "What? What point?" "Dad, it's my break. It's an hour." "I just mean, at my plant, we work through lunch most days," he said, his tone reasonable and steady. "It shows you're dedicated. We get a half hour, but most of us are back at the machines in 10 minutes. Nobody takes the full time unless they're a slacker." "But that's a choice you guys make." I protested. "Our contract literally says 1 hour paid lunch." Then my mom got on the line. "Honey, you have to think about perception," she said, her voice full of gentle, loving disappointment. "If everyone else is at their desks, and you're off gallivanting around a parking garage for an hour, it just looks like you don't care as much. These things matter for promotions." "Gallivanting?" I sputtered. "I'm walking. For my health. Because my job is turning me into a blob." "We were raised differently," my dad cut back in. "You put your head down, you work hard, and you don't do things that make you stick out. Taking a full hour every single day to go for a walk. That makes you stick out." I felt a profound sense of loneliness wash over me. It wasn't just my coworker. It wasn't just my manager. It was my own parents. They were all on the same page, reading from a rule book I couldn't see. A book where dedicated means sacrificing your own time and health for the company's benefit, and entitled means taking what you were explicitly given. The conversation ended with them telling me to just be careful and to maybe think about eating at my desk a few days a week to show I'm a team player. So now I'm completely spun around. I'm sitting here, and my lunch bag is next to me, and in 10 minutes it'll be 12:30. Part of me wants to just give in. To eat at my desk, get those fake friendly nods of approval, and feel my legs get a little weaker every day. It would be easier. But another part of me, the logical, rule-following part, is screaming that this is insane. I am not stealing time. I am not shirking my duties. I am a good employee who is simply using my contractually guaranteed break to not have a heart attack at 50. The fact that this is seen as a rebellious or selfish act feels like I've fallen into some alternate dimension where common sense is backwards. I'm standing my ground, for now. But every step I take in that garage feels defiant. It feels like an argument. My simple, healthy routine has been weaponized against me, and I'm genuinely starting to question my own judgment. Am I completely out of touch with the modern workplace? Am I the naive one here? So, Reddit, I have to ask. Am I the asshole for taking a walk on my lunch break?